All right, we are now live. Welcome, guys. We have a great show lined up for y'all tonight. Some of the great DMC champions of the past decade are in the building for this one. They're joining us for the main topic for tonight and get their opinions on what's in store with DJ events and shows this year. So kick back with us for a couple hours and let's start the show. Kick it one time as one.
Yeah. Open up the world, open up the world, people in me again. Open up the world, open up the world, open up the world, people in me again. Open up the world, open up the world, people in me again. What now? What? Now? Put the step down. Put the step down. Company up the night. What now? What? Now? Put the step down. Company up the night. Open up the world, people in me again.
All right. What's good, everybody? DJ Geometrix here.
7 out of 10.
DJ Geometrix here, and we're back at it again on this Thursday night with the 9 at 9, yo. So the 9 at 9 is the only internet show where we have 9 respective DJs on the panel just discussing today's DJ topics. This show is presented to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. If you want to learn how to mix, scratch, and make music, visit us at beatrefinery.com. We are currently streaming live right now on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube on our social media pages at Beat Refinery. For the people watching the stream right now, if you want to join us all on the Zoom chat, just hit up that link on your screen, bit.ly/the 9 at 9, or click that link on the bio. So also we're proud to say that we were finally on a lot of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and wherever else you consume and listen to all things podcasts. So check us out on those platforms. Subscribe to us, rate us. We definitely appreciate the support. So on to tonight's show. Like I said before, we have some of the greatest DMC champions in the past decades. A couple of them spanning almost 2 decades now, but they're here with us on this panel. We'll talk to them and get their opinions on how the pandemic is going to affect events in the coming months, and you know, find out what they've been doing. So it'll be interesting to get these guys' take on it. So as always, let me introduce the rest of the hosts, my partners in crime, the Beat Refinery crew. We have DJ As1.
What up? What up?
Next up, we have Sean J.
Rob. Salutations.
And finally, we have Stylus Chris.
Peace.
All right, Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you guys for joining us. We have been now 5 weeks running with this 9 at 9, and we've had some incredible DJs that are showing up humbly, giving us some of their time. So thank everybody on this amazing panel for making the time from different time zones and everywhere to be with us and to be with DJs and some of your fans, some fans of just the DJ world in general. I'm really honored to have some of these guys that I've known and seen for a while battling, and then some that I've never met but I've always admired. And it's too thick of a billing to say who gets top billing, so we're just going in alphabetical order because they're just all so dope. And the first guy we've got, 6-time regional DMC champion, 2011 DMC USA and World Champion. Give it up for Chris Karns, y'all.
Woo!
Wow. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you. And we'll talk about it later, but you're pretty much halfway. You could call DC like one of your home away from homes, as many times you came here to battle and then started DJing around here. So glad to see you on, swimming away from sharks there in the background, as you always have.
Finding Nemo.
Next up, he is the 2018 DMC World Champion, hailing from New Zealand. Give it up for K-Swizz.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
What's up? What's up?
What's up, Caleb? How's it going,
His
brother?
voice got a little deeper.
I knew that was gonna happen.
He's gonna.
It happened, bro.
They do grow.
Just woke
They
up
do.
not long ago.
And next up, he was the USA Champion in 2007, 2012, and 2015. The 2015 DMC World Supremacy Champion. Let's give it up for DJ Precision.
Executioners!
Yes.
Wait, I got a special sample for him.
Oh shit!
The gong.
Rest in peace.
Can't get away from that gong.
What's good? What's good, brother? How are you? Glad you're here with us. Thank you. All right, next up, he is one of our hometown heroes, fellow Beat Refinery senior instructor, all things dope, 2018 and 2019 USA Champion. Let's give it up for Throdown. Throdown. Throdown.
Yeah.
Hey, are you recording this, Gio? That was a pretty cool drop. Like 9.
Yeah.
champion.
Yeah, we got you.
We've been recording it for the
We
past
got
few weeks now.
And last but certainly not least, but has the last letter in the alphabet of the people on this show. I don't know what happened in 2011, 2015, but it's incredible that one man was able to win his country's championship that many years in a row, Canadian champion from those years, and then the 2015 World Champion. Let's give it up for Vekked.
And is not very good.
V stands for victory.
Yes. What's good, bro?
He's
How
got
are you?
really cool hats for sale too. You should.
Yes.
stop on.
Oh.
You rocking it? Hey, there you go. We'll let you plug that later, bro.
Yeah, man. Put the links in the chats and let the world know how to get everybody's stuff. Well, thank you guys all for being here. We appreciate you guys taking your time. Obviously, we are a lot of us are still somewhat busy in a different way, and some of us are finding that like they don't really have much going on except kicking it. So we all know that we all have a different perspective and a different relation. So it's dope to see how you guys are doing. I'll start it off with, as I just ended with Vekked. Let's just go to you, man. How have you been? What's going on?
I've been good. Like, actually, somehow I've gotten busier, I guess, since this has all happened in some ways, Like, it just seems like every day I've got something on the go, some sort of streamy teaching thing, working on music, that kind of stuff.
That's dope, man. You have a I'll say a positive beam going around you. Which is good, man. You can feel you're in a good spot, man. You got your brim matching your mic, so that's always like very important in my book. You know,
You got to coordinate, man.
Yeah. So, would you say that everything that you're doing now is all online based for the most part? I mean, you just said that, but is it mainly that in terms of things coming in?
I mean, there's a lot of online stuff. Like, just, I don't know. I'm also just like working on tracks and stuff offline as well. But there's no real life type of stuff for
Right.
gigs or anything. So I've just sort of like I've been doing like the online Twitch stuff for like 2 years or something. But obviously, like, since this has all happened, there's more people. Like, there's been like an influx that I've like from doing it before COVID and during. There's been a huge influx of people, so it sort of just makes it so I'm doing it more, I guess, and putting more energy into it.
You were doing it before it was cool, man.
What kind of sets are you doing on Twitch?
I just do like turntablists, like sort of like lessons for mostly beginner type of stuff, and also just sort of like nerd history things. Like, it's purely turntablists and like no DJing and mixing really. I'm just like, sometimes we'll watch videos. I've had all these guys videos of all these champs on there at one point or another, and we just like, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
dope, man. I got that just reminds me of that time. I had to speak about this. We were in New Zealand in 2017 with all the Kame World the World Classic guys. Shouts to Reminisce and K-Swizz for hosting us there, man. And I remember a couple nights it was you, Walsey from Australia, and myself. we would stay up like dumb late and just talk about like battles.
Yes, talk about-
Yo, you know this battle, you know that battle. And and I think that the whole nerdery thing definitely was cool to see in terms of like it let me know. I mean, I already know this, but like I know it let me know that I'm not the only guy that like obsessively watches this stuff, you know, or at least had a point in my life where I did.
Yeah,
So-
it's almost like for me, I've like talked to a few other people, and they say similar things. Like in a way, like battling becomes sort of like it's like you're following a sport, like as a fan or something. You know, it's the same way that I like follow like a sports team or like a UFC fighter or something like that, and you follow battle DJs.
Exactly, and I tell people like another analogy is I tell them like ask them what their favorite video game and their fighting game. They're like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. I'm like, well, what happened to me was I became a character in that game. You could like me, you could not like me, you could pick me, you could not pick me, but I'm in it. You know.
What's your finishing move?
My finishing move? Oh, wow. Something. It'd probably be something with bunnies. What was the nice stuff? I think they had the nice
The friendship. It was
Yeah, the
Animalities,
friendship.
man?
Yeah. Probably a friendship. Man.
Bunny's on the screen right now.
I'm like super
about
nice.
Yeah, that's
One of like 40.
that's
Animality.
it's funny you say that, Art, just based on like I started. I think the first year that I threw a DMC regional in DC was 97 or 98.
Okay.
And you know, I remember, as I was saying about Chris, we know you from when you used to battle under a different name. Even your character even changed names. And I remember you would come to DC. You would be on the East Coast all the time battling back in those days. And I think you won a DC regional, I feel like, one time.
Can we do a fact check on that? What's the fact check?
No?
No.
I know it was like up there in terms of people were
He
just
was in the
like,
U.S.
"Yo."
You were in the U.S. finals, weren't you in DC?
US.
You were in the U.S. final at
No,
DC.
He
Yeah.
came to that was at Nations.
That was at
I
Nation.
was there that night. We were all there, bro. I mean, you know,
were there.
yo, even if you guys know about this, here's some like super deep DMC US video stuff. Esquire was in the front row still. Esquire was in the front of like every video from like a certain year on.
The front row guy.
Yeah, that was a dope battle.
Yeah, that was I think we have Pharaoh Monch even perform.
Yeah, he was there, and
Yeah.
Boogie
Yeah.
Blunt,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Boogie was there.
I was there.
Behind.
If I had
I was
to
there.
honestly, if
And
I
I'm
had
gonna
to be
say
honest,
this. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna say this. I was told I wasn't battling that year, but I was told I wasn't qualified to be a judge.
what?
Ouch.
Ooh.
Man.
I'm
gotta be a
sitting
secret.
over here. I'm gonna be
Listen.
over here sipping my tea.
Are there shots you're firing right now?
Yeah. Well, at that time, DMC was run by somebody else.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't Christie. So
No. It was
wasn't
somebody
smooth.
crazy.
Shout out, Christy.
It wasn't Christie. Yeah, shout out.
Christy.
I know who you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. I'm cool there. I try to be cool there, but I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, but no, I guess, you know, seriously, for me being so young, you know, being at that battle. So like, let me ask you this, K-Swizz, Caleb, have you seen the 2000? What year was that?
3.
2003. That was the
have
year
you seen
Inferno
the
won.
2003 U.S. Finals
Yep.
DVD, like Chris
Who
Karns,
won that year?
You weren't born yet, I don't think.
Inferno.
Yeah,
Inferno
was
won that
there.
U.S. that year, and Dopey won the
2003
world.
was
I mean,
Inferno
I'll
took
just
the
name the
US.
names like Shifty, Vajra, Inferno, I Emerge.
That was a stacked
Stint,
finals,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Pico.
fire battle, bro.
Woo.
Like, I
Oh
was
my
there at
God.
that battle, and I wasn't like battling at that level at that time, and like that night did something for me. I remember seeing the homies, like seeing guys I knew on stage, like, or guys I wanted to be like. Even P, I remember watching P in videos. Y'all know 2001, you know, the Spider-Man shirt, bro. Like, you know, with the fucking.
I see. Was scared to come to my hood.
Oh, we're,
Corona Queens, baby. I remember
Corona
that.
Queens.
Yeah, that was the, you know, the other thing with I was gonna tell to everybody, like, just precision, bro. You've been in the battle game for so long. I feel like you've been there as long as I've been hosting and throwing them, and like you were always one of these guys that we were just always so loved your energy on stage, loved your presence, loved your
Really?
skill. Yeah, man, you brought it different. It's all about being unique, I think.
Come on, man. Your beat juggles are on
Did it through
on
the
another
sets, bro.
level that nobody's on, man.
Yeah. You would just bring something that it's like, to me it's like it's it's very similar to comedians in that sense of like you got a whole bunch of dudes that are funny and everybody knows they're funny, but there's certain guys that just take the content to a different place, and you're always checking for that. And big ups to you for all the years you put in, and thank you for being here. What's happening in your daily right now?
I'm chilling. I work. I work for Amazon. I'm still slinging packages.
Blessed, bro.
Anybody here that really knows me knows I've always been like with the eBay, like selling online trading. Yep. And I always wanted to kind of get in somewhere that can benefit what I do, like outside of DJing, which is again online trading. And I always found myself, I thought I would end up at the post office with using that as a way to using a discount in some sort of way. Now I'm at Amazon, which is way cooler than a post office. I'm not gonna they ever fire me. I'm not gonna go crazy and kill everybody.
Hey, at least you have a job, man. I think none of us are on this job right now.
It's been the thing is I haven't had to work a 9 to 5 in so long, so I kind of got doubted that I would even be able to adjust to doing this shit. And it's like the easiest shit ever.
Oh wow, okay.
So I've just been chilling. I practice. I still practice. I'm gonna throw something out there. Anytime you see this, it's not because of COVID, because I can't get a haircut, but this is a sign that I was planning on jumping back in and battling again.
Battling?
Oh. Every fucking time. Every time I battle, I always have.
Is that an exclusive?
Yeah, I can't.
We heard it here first at the 9 at 9.
I can't front with the circle that I run with. I heard a couple things about you. I'll just say it. Guys like Ty and -9. They were like, "Oh yeah, you think you're gonna hold that Supremacy Champion again this year?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And
oh
like, yeah, but what if precision comes? Because he's battling. I'm like, man, I ain't afraid of precision, bro. Like,
that's right. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You should have that. You should have that confidence.
Yeah. No, well, the truth is, I'll tell a quick story. 2012. I did some traveling even. I went to LA to battle LA DMC, but 2012 DMC, I didn't make it to the US finals, and I battled at three regionals. I did Washington D.C., I did New York, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I did LA. I lost at every single one. I came in like second or third. No, LA I didn't even place. And that shit was whack because like guys like Swamp and Revolution were judging, and they were like, "Fuck this dude, who gives a shit?" And it's fine. But at the end of the day, the guys that made the top 3 that year were you guys, Precision ID or Precision Manual ID. So I took that as one of those testaments. I was like, look, I didn't really lose this year. I went up against the Titans, and I took that as something that was like a learning lesson, and that was like that year. That was the year I leveled up. And after that, I started telling people, they were like, yo, what if you battle this guy? What if you battle K-Swizz? I was just like, I'm not afraid. Like, I'm ready to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I had the confidence to just be like, you know what? Whatever I do, it's got to be me. So
what he's trying to say is challenging you guys to
yes.
As COVID is over and everything comes back around.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that kind of leads into how are we all feeling about what the current battle situation is looking like.
Yeah, we got a couple guys that are actually currently defending titles, whether it's their country or there's certainly a lot of.
Well, we don't know that yet. It's K-Swizz.
Yeah, no.
We don't really know.
K-Swizz going to defend the world?
Do they get to claim for another year?
Happening in the DJ scene, in the DJ battle scene. I mean, again, we don't really know what's gonna happen. I feel like I had this conversation the other day where I feel like everybody's kind of. I mean, those who are really affected by this and they're just at home. Some people are making the most of it. They're probably actually practicing. Some might have a false sense of what battling is all about. But I think it's like when and if things kind of open back up, I feel like it's gonna be just like a barrage of like everybody. Like back in the days. All right. I'm kind of going all over the place, but
go for it.
Recently, I've seen like in the recent battles, I've seen like the regionals where it'll maybe be like 10 20 people tops that try out, that even go for the eliminations. But back in the days, it would be like the scene in Juice where everybody's like lined up.
Yo, that was the biggest stress of throwing a battle back in those days. On my end, when there would be 54 competitors.
Everybody's gonna come back. I think when things open back up, everybody's gonna come out the woodworks and try to battle again.
Well, what do you guys think about like styles? You know, because like right now, like especially like DJ live streaming right now, you know, a lot of like the younger kids, some people that don't normally listen to, like, you know, like a lot of DJs are bringing back like classic music, like like some good, real good hip hop, like golden age era, you know, hip hop, or even good 80s, 90s R&B. What do you guys think? Do you think it's the same situation where, you know, kids or like, or, you know, other DJs are
Yo, chill.
Other DJs are studying, you know.
Finish this, please finish
basically,
this.
other DJs are basically studying like videos right now. Like they're doing a lot of studying. Do you think it's gonna revert back to more of like a, especially with the juggling, the old school style, or K-Swizz is like it's a good example, man. He's got like some crazy, you know, routines that just is reminiscent of like our era, like, you know, like Precision and like As One, or even like Vekked, who brought that style back, you know, when he went to the Worlds.
I want to say this about Vekked. Vekked like did his fucking history. I'm sure Vekked has seen like every video, like everything. Like he's done his studying, and I respect him for that. Like he knows his history, he knows his shit. He's like,
here's just a little story. Back in the day, it's probably not even that long ago, maybe like 7, I don't know how many years ago it was, but basically, there's these bootleg like best of ITF DVDs in Japan. Like I had to use like Google Translate and send like bank wire money to Japan, like $50 a DVD to get these DVDs. Like I got 5 DVDs, and I was like, man, I might be just like giving my identity to some dude in Japan right now, but
nah, they don't be on that.
But I need to learn.
But what if there's some like dope footage on here that I haven't seen, right? So it's worth it.
Well, so it was just ITF footage from all around, or was it like Japanese ITF footage?
They have the entire like U.S. And Western Hemisphere finals on a couple of them. They have some world finals. Like they have like the some of the later world finals that didn't get like a proper release, like 2004, 2005 ITF world finals.
Those Eastern Western Hemisphere finals there's some gems in there.
Can you guys tell the listeners what ITF stands for if they don't know? Or what was the ITF?
International
Turntablists
Federation.
WWF or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it was. Well,
big shout out to
ITF is IDA now. Is that correct, or am I wrong on that?
I think so.
I heard that. I don't know if that's.
K-Swizz says yes, right?
Shout out to Uncle Al.
Yeah. Didn't Poland like
IDA
purchase the rights to it and then eventually, you know?
Yeah, something like that. Something like.
I think like the story that I think happened is basically the Eastern Hemisphere just took over the whole thing, and like whoever ran the Western Hemisphere stopped, and then so now the whole thing is just ran by the same people. But I think in later years of ITF, that's sort of how it was running, anyways.
Right.
I did ITF like twice, and I think I got my prizes.
I've heard that it's organized really, really well.
The world final is definitely
I mean, looking at the footage, it's, you know, it seems to be pretty well organized. I mean, you
got like 4 or 5 setups, so you are guaranteed
6,
like ample practice time before.
That's like 10.
Yeah,
10.
It's like 10 or 12. That's like
well, here's my question for you guys who've been on that stage. What is the sound like on the stage though? Are the monitors proper?
Good.
You guys feel?
It depends on the venue, man.
They do, yeah. Because I see it's like in those like theaters. And I mean that's cool, but
it's in a huge
what does it
theater.
sound like?
Yeah, it's probably changed actually. Like I think K-Swizz they're in like a bigger or different venue. I'm not sure. Is this sit down venue, K-Swizz?
The new venue is like it's a little bit smaller, but It's a very good sound. Like it's not bad.
Do people sit down or do they stand up in that venue?
Oh, they stand up. They stand. Oh, they can stand up in the front, and then there's like seating right at the back.
So
It's
when
like theater style.
when I was battling in it, it was like an actual IMAX theater, and everyone's like sitting down. Like,
Whoa.
it's really weird. Like, this is just like a weird thing I noticed when battling there. But like, normally, like in a normal battle, people are watching you, right? And when you do like your whatever stage presence stuff, like people are gonna react to it. But when at IDA Worlds, like they have cameras on you and they're showing it on the big screen, and there's times when it's only your turntables, so you can like be like doing motions or whatever, and like nobody sees it. They're not even looking at you, they're looking at the screen, right? So like all your like cool like actions you and your middle fingers and stuff,
Your whole stage presence not being seen.
Like I worked on that middle finger for months.
Proper placement.
Real quick, while we're on that subject, for those that didn't know, I could tell just from my history of research, the '99 DMC US finals and the '97 ITF categories and advancements finals. I believe those two battles had the sit down crowd. Had a
99 was like at an auditorium, wasn't it? Like in San Francisco.
Yeah, it seemed like it was
I think you're right about that.
Auditorium or some shit.
Weird.
But I think that makes a difference, man. When people sitting down, they're not. I don't know. They're not. It's a different vibe. It's a different.
And one of the ITF teams was in a hotel, wasn't it?
No. I don't know. That was later.
I was
on.
part of that. That was what year was that? That was 2001, I think. And we battled against the Finger Bangers for the teams, and they didn't have time for teams. It was a great event. Like Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis was in the building for that battle. But we ran out of time for the team, so
you guys didn't get to perform?
We went back to Alex Aquino's hotel room. And we set up. We set up.
Make room for it.
Like I heard about
nothing. Like it was already like way like an hour past closing. So it you know how it is. Hip hop events they start late, man. So, but
Hip hop.
Yeah, we got out of his hotel room like around 7 o'clock in the morning. So. It was horrible. It was like the light was up. We weren't even at a strip club. The sun was already up, man.
It's the overnight scenario.
We set up our turntables on the sink in the bar. It's crazy.
Stupid.
No, so
Chris, are you like switching your pizza and bunny backgrounds live, or is that just kind of
he's like putting it together, like whatever people are saying. He's like doing it on cue. It's amazing.
He's a CEO, man. CEO of backgrounds.
Hanging with the best DJs in the world.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Don Auto, man.
Now, Chris, you've been battling for a long time. You've been in all kinds of different style of battles, different companies. What's your favorite? I mean, obviously, you've been kind of through the whole gamut and seen a whole lot of different angles to the battle scene. Is there one particular one that you like better than the other?
I mean, I did DMC and like Guitar Center. I basically mainly did the ones that were like in Colorado. So I never did ITF. Unfortunately, I always wanted to, but I did the Beatdown as well, 3-style.
That's right.
Beatdown was Invite at that time?
Yep, North American.
Yeah, those
North
2
American
years.
battle. It was a good battle.
That was
Really
the
good
Allies.
battle. But I mean, DMC to me is obviously, I think that's the one that is gonna continue to stand the test of time as things move forward. It's always been consistently, successful for a long time, and it's run. I think the fact that 3-style is run by a corporation. I think there's always that part of it that you just never know when they might just make a call and say, hey, this is important to our
pull the plug.
Or so I think that's just kind of a ticking time bomb as far as that goes. But I do respect it as a obviously I've competed in it 5 times. And
yeah.
Well,
And you've even,
especially you know, like Chris, you're like you were in there with all vinyl, and then I mean, of course, you won it like when Serato, you know, when they finally allowed Serato in there. So it's like tell us like about your experience, like what's the difference between the two, you know, when you're practicing for the, you know, back in early 2000s DMC compared to like when you won the world title.
Yeah, I mean, I was the first digital champion, so I got a lot of you know, backlash from that, I'd say. But really, I mean, for me, I would have never competed again if I couldn't have done it on digital.
But at the same time, that routine, you could tell you put so much original work into it. You know what I'm saying? Like the intro and like the whole theme of it, the sound effects, like,
dude, it was so clean.
It was so flawless. Yeah,
it was so clean.
And you really like took full advantage of the features that were made available by the equipment with the introduction of digital format. And like, you know, haters are gonna hate all day long. I mean, this is turntablism, you know, there's like legions of people in the background complaining like, oh, it'd be cooler if it was on vinyl. But honestly, dude, you like took full advantage of like cue points and effects, and like I think it just gave it so much more color, you know, like your background right now.
Well, here's my quick story about
Appreciate
that night. The night Chris Karns won the U.S. title to go to the Worlds, I remember always just being like a fan, right? I was always just like, yo, he's the man, this, that, and the other. Like, I've watched this dude for 10 plus years. I can't believe I'm battling with this dude. And I remember I battled that night in the U.S. finals, and I got off stage. Right behind me was Woody from the UK, and I look back, and I'm packing my packing my records, and then he comes up, he taps me, he goes, "Hey, rockin' battle set, mate," and I'm like, "Yeah, rockin' battle set." And then I walk down the steps of the stage, and then like there's Chris Karns, Vajra at the time, and he was just like, "Yo, that set was dope, bro." Blah blah blah. And he asked me, like, I don't know, like Facebook or something. I think we got each other's contact like right at that moment. And we took a picture, and that was it. It was just, you know, you just gotta show and prove, man. That's what it is. When people ask me, like, how did this happen for you? How did this happen? Just show and prove, man. Like, you know, all that time I spent in the in the cut, you know, not talking about it or anything. It all just explodes at that one moment, you know. And then you take what you get from that. So, I thought that was cool. That's the story how me and Chris Karns met, by the way. So yeah,
you did a good job in that, Perrin. You killed it as well. But I mean, for the record, I kicked y'all ass.
Nice.
Oh, man. Love you, buddy.
Back in.
Well, hold that thought. So it's 9:30. So we're just gonna take a little break here. But right now, a big shout out to everybody on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube. Shout out to Alizé. Big shout out to Randy White. We got a lot of people on YouTube right now.
Randy White, hey, what up, Randy?
If everybody watching the stream, if you wanna join us on the Zoom chat, make sure to check out the link on the screen, bit.ly/the9at9 if you want to join the Zoom chat. But we can see everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So let's continue on. There we go. Should have done that in the beginning.
Next week. We're working with the sample right now.
But let's continue on with that discussion about like you know, the transition. Like you know, Chris, you're saying you kind of like got some flack for, you know, being the first digital champion a little bit, but like Precision, you probably got the same thing, like because you know you're one of the guys too that went from vinyl to like, you know, especially when you're using like effects on.
I think the wackest thing about him winning.
Here we go.
Like his pride was like, damn. he won a gold 68 that year. Like, damn, he can't like mixer. He won't ever. Have you?
Where's it? Where's that thing?
That mixer?
You know what the cool thing about that one though is that it was the only year they did it, so it's literally the only one ever made. So it's
wow.
Like, I'm kind of cool with that.
All right, I like the positive outlook.
If it was a good mixer, I might have actually used it, but it's
that's exactly my point.
Right there.
Damn, like
Big shout out to
But-
Rain.
Hey, let me say this
in the
real quick.
studio. Use it in the studio.
I battled with Chris for years. Me and him became really good friends. I was so happy. I mean, I had to take a loss that year, but I was so happy to see him win. I lost the U.S. finals, but I got to go out to the World Finals to judge that year. And I was like, nah. I'm voting. I know his set. If anybody brings some iller shit, I doubt it. But I wanted him to win. I wanted him to fucking win.
That was surreal, man. I appreciate that, man. That was surreal. That
It's
year,
still one
for
of
sure.
those unique sets, man. If you
Yeah.
compare it from like
Yeah.
the especially even like early 2000s when you were in the U.S. finals, you basically had the same sort of style. You kept that style, and you brought it over to 2011, which is dope, man. Like, but if you compare everybody else's like set, like world final sets, world championship winning sets, yours like stick out.
Chris, did you do
Real
goldies?
good.
Pause.
That was good. That's the right time. That's the right time.
Chris, did you do goldies?
Did I do the Goldie? No, I mean, I actually tried to
Let's transition
do
into
the beat battle.
Oh,
but
word.
Right.
I was
Didn't
waiting
get
to
in.
transition into your production
I'll tell you.
jobs right now.
So
man.
what happened?
changed
You
the game
just-
again.
You just didn't hear back, right?
Well, it's funny. I mean, because A-Track had asked me like a couple years in a row to enter, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't even know. The thing that I was most like kind of was like, what about is just that I had an opportunity to go get into the studio and record some music with Soundtrap Sector 9 during that time.
Woo!
Oh,
I had to choose between the two, and I was like, damn. And I almost chose to do that, but I had to tell them, now I'm waiting to hear about this other thing. I already kind of committed to this idea. And then I just, just saw the lineup get announced, and I was like, oh shit. Well,
Yeah.
now I can't do either thing. So it was like,
Oh.
damn.
Nah, you
kind of
could
moments,
still,
but-
dude. Your time will come. I think you would. I see you like doing your, multi-layer, Chris Karns live on the drums, jamming with Chris Karns live on the keys, jamming with Chris Karns live on the decks. Like I think the Goldie Awards is such a refreshing format because I mean it's really opening it up. It's still showing love to the traditional guys, but like it's like commanding people to bring something new to the table, and like what Brace did was super dope. I mean, like on it, like I'm just gonna be real, like I
Don't be fake, son.
I don't,
Be real.
I'm pretty bored with DJing as it is right at this moment, and I'm looking at guys like Brace,
Agreed.
and I'm looking at guys like even people that don't DJ, Beardy Man, like people that are like taking the tech again, like with the whole digital thing. Like you could hate on it or not, but I'm saying like we live in a time where the tools that we have at our fingertips now is the kind of stuff we were dreaming about driving around hotboxing in high school. Like, yo, dog, wouldn't it be crazy, right? If I could, if y'all was ciphering in the car and I just had this little, like little DJ set up in my lap and I could just, plug it into the head unit and just DJ the cipher. Like you could totally do that now with portables or controllers or whatever. Guys can loop themselves doing anything. You don't need a band. You don't need to wait for like your 6 other friends to like commit to a date. Like you could do it all yourself. And honestly, like I don't know, man, I just want to see musicality come back to the forefront. They're like, I think at least with the DMC, obviously it's a technical battle. It's 100% based on skills, and what happens when every dude is like trying to outdo the other guy, it just turns into a for 12 hours. The DMC World Finals last year was 12 hours of just rapid fire.
That ain't shit, man. We've
insanity.
had a couple of U.S. finals that were like that.
And like that's we all like live and die for that. I love seeing dudes just rip each other apart with the skills and stuff. But I don't know. I guess especially in this time with like quarantines and there is no live public gatherings anymore, people are forced to project their work into the blogosphere from their living room or from their bedroom or whatever. And so this is a really dope time to showcase what you're working on in a very like visual way, you know, like all these like sucker DJs that maybe they play great sets, but they you know, they're not fun to watch because they don't really do anything. Like Craze called him out, you know, he's like, all you like jukebox DJs, you know, your sets really aren't all that now that you got cameras on you and you have crowds of people that are just chilling in their PJs on their couch, just staring at the computer, you know, craving entertainment, and all you're doing is like press and play on stuff. Now, you know, people that are, you know, I see Buck Rogers like going off the handle like with these crazy backgrounds, and he's like DJing and he's finger drumming and he's got his keyboard set up and
Not
like
the Buck Rogers, yeah, man.
Finger banging is not a crime.
It's
Hashtag.
Long as it's on
Guys.
pads.
So yeah, so my like for Goldies, for me, like my quick Goldies take, and then I'll transition this into asking you guys who actually are a part of Goldies, and I'm gonna go ahead and say K-Swizz, Vekked, and Precision have been a part of Goldies. People might question Precision's involvement, but we'll get into that in a minute. On my end, I entered the Goldie Awards three years in a row. I never made it, but I was at the battle 3 years in a row. I made the trek from DC to New York to go see it because simply one, I can tell you
It's
one thing.
historical.
The first year I went, I didn't make it. I'm still a little bitter about that. I feel like my video was like hot fire, you know. And,
Come on, man, say it with your chest.
I had people who were like not in line who hit me up like that shit is hot fire. You
What
know?
year was that again? I
And
remember.
I know I was worthy, but they didn't choose me, and that's cool. But at the same time, just know I can bring it, bro. It's like, but yeah. So second year, third year, I entered. They still didn't choose me, man. And I know these guys are watching. It's all good. I don't care. I still made it to the battle because I love DJ battles so much, and you
Fan
know,
first.
I'm a fan. Yes, and this is
Yeah,
what I tell
man.
Chris always. I'm a fan first. I took myself outside of my own ego and was like, man, fuck driving to New York for 4 hours. But then, like, the second year, it's like, yo, I didn't make it, but my bro K-Swizz is going to be there. Vekked is going to be there. Like, my bros are going to be there. Like, why shouldn't I go support these guys? You know? So I made the trek, man. So for you guys who've been on the stage, like, how was that experience for you guys? Coming as DMC guys to Goldies and having the format change, essentially.
Essentially.
Okay, so let's go for it. You've been in it multiple times, right?
Right.
I was in it twice. I don't like
That's
the
multiple.
I don't like the judging. Like they're all producers. They're not like turntablists, so they don't know what's going on.
Say it
It's
again.
kinda weird.
Say it again.
One more time for the people in the back.
Well, I want to touch on Swizz for a second
Pause.
as a guy that probably, when you started DJing, the technology was already there. It was just the norm for you. But as Art and a few others have alluded to, like you've got a kind of a throwback style that lends more to some of the more traditional turntablists that we all kind of grew up loving. Where does that come from for you?
Oh, I was brought up with him. My dad was like, he has like all these records and stuff. He's a DJ as well. I learned on vinyl before I actually started using like my laptop and stuff. But yeah,
Was that your
I
dad's
was always
idea?
like, pardon?
Was your dad like, you're gonna learn on vinyl first, boy? Like,
Oh,
nah, like no, I like to play
Gonna
with his
learn
vinyl.
today.
He made me a little crate, and I had like some
Yeah.
songs that I like.
Right.
So I'll just like play around with them, like just play music. But I wanted to learn how to like scratch and beat juggle and stuff. So yeah.
So
That's
And-
dope, man.
I always feel like we have a few.
Did your
Like,
dad?
points.
Sorry to interrupt, Chris, but like,
Go.
did your dad compete in DMC as well, or was he a battlehead,
Nah.
or just?
He would do like these like club battles here in New Zealand. I think he won this club battle like 5 years in a row or something. And then they had to ban them from entering.
damn.
He was forced to retire.
Your dad's the
All right.
invisible scratch pickles of New Zealand. Wait, don't you play like, you know, parties like weddings and stuff with your dad? You guys DJ together?
I go out and watch him. I watch him DJ. So yeah, I just
You
help him
never
and
you
stuff.
never like played a party?
He's like the
together?
club DJ. I'm a battle DJ. I'm this side.
Well, here's what I want to ask you, K-Swizz. Like, what was like what was your first experience, or you know, like say what video or what battle DJ was the first one you've seen that kind of like got you into it?
I think I emerged 2004. His world
Big
finals.
ups to Merge.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so that makes a lot of sense.
I like
I was gonna say that makes a lot of sense because you have a very aggressive style. I tell people, they're like, "What is it like battling K-Swizz?" I'm like, "Man, it's like battling Sonic the Hedgehog, dude. Like you can't catch him. He's, you know, and you're like super aggressive with it. So that makes sense now that you know one of your original influences was I Emerge. Because he was super aggressive, and shouts to Merge. I think he's.
I
out
still
in
think
Florida
those
now.
2 years that Merge competed was
Correct me if
it's
I'm
so
wrong.
underrated. He probably had the greatest like battle DJ career
I
during
feel
that
like
2-year
saved his
span.
life once.
I secretly, not secretly, but yeah, I was practicing with him.
Pause.
And yeah, nah, he was on it, man. That dude.
Was he?
He needs to be celebrated more, man. Like he needs to be.
He wanted to win. Like he wanted to fucking win.
You could tell the hunger was
You can tell
there.
by his stance on those videos.
He had a Jordan mentality during that period, man.
P, have you talked to him
shit.
anytime
Just
recently?
being around him, I got it actually. I got better at scratching just being around him.
Word.
He made me retire.
He's on it.
P, have you like talked to him
2004 when I
at
lost
all?
to him that year, I was like, I'm done. I've had enough of this. I can't take any more.
P, have you talked to him at all in recent times?
In the past year, it was weird. Like I mean, anybody here knows that he kind of like fell off the map.
He disappeared for a little bit.
His choice, it wasn't some like,
After he got into like production, I think like that's when.
Yo, it was I put a post on Instagram, and like I didn't recognize the handle, and it was like some weird fucking
Funeral balloons.
Like,
Oh, funeral balloons.
what the fuck is this? No, I think it was before that. It was some other shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I went back. I lit up, and I was high, and I went back and looked at it. And it was all backwards, and it was like, "Yo, P, what's up? It's Merge." But it was
All
like
backwards?
Wow.
like some yeah, it was backwards and then some like weird code and shit. I had him, this is like 2-3 years ago, or whatever. We've spoke a few times there, but he's just on some other shit, man. He's I saw recently he like donated us like one of his winning gold turntables to the Scratch Academy.
Oh.
What?
I'm like, yo, what you doing?
doing, man?
Do it.
I was in Miami for New Year's and I went to Scratch Academy and I was chopping it up with Immortal and I asked him, I was like, yo, like what's up with Merge? Like the guy is such a beast, you know, the world wants to know like where he's at. And he's like, look, best believe he's at his crib like cranking out ill beats and he's still cutting, you know, but I mean he won the world's 2 years in a row and
then
guess
disappeared for the third.
you
Yeah.
kind of hit this point where you're like, what is it that I want in life? Like, do I want to do this again? Like, what am I going to prove? You know, he basically just did it all so fast. And now he's just kind of soul searching, I guess.
I feel like I can't totally speak for the other guys, but I feel like we all sort of hit that when you battle for long enough. Like I battled like basically 2011 to 2015 and like I was like I was grateful that I won in 2015 because I knew that even if I lost, I was not coming back because I was just like burnt out basically.
You knew that.
It's just like so much pressure and like when all of your energy is into like making music that is the goal of it is to get judged by other people and like put under a fine-tooth comb and have people on the internet comment about it, like it's kind of tough, you know, and sometimes you just want to like make stuff and not even show people.
I would say just every DJ that battles has got an incredible sense of self in that, and just being able to get out there and put yourself, being that vulnerable, it's something that it's a rarity to allow people to judge you in any kind of competition sport, but especially in DJing where like I don't think people are blogging about figure skaters that, you know, or even skateboarders the way that people go in on DJs and hate or show negativity. So it's one of those things. I can't remember who coined it, but it was maybe in like 2000. Someone told me it's 6 months for 6 minutes, and
That's way more than
Yup.
that.
and just for like
It's on the low end, yeah. for
people don't even understand how much time goes into a battle set, and it's almost, we used to talk about all the time where the skateboard world, would those guys have still been skating and competing if they didn't have the sponsorships behind it to keep them pushing? And the one thing that to me has always been missing with the battle scene is a real true legitimate sponsorship package and a true circuit, so to speak, where these guys, the greatest DJs, I want to see battles where the greatest, most talented DJs still don't get burned out because their income would come from that through sponsorships and through serious packaging of winning money, where it's like, man, it's worth it for me to keep doing this. And I always just feel like DJing, I guess, unfortunately missed that mark.
And in some ways, I thought the Allies were trying to get to that point with the beatdown. From what I heard before, they wanted to do like sort of like
there's
a
no
circuit.
DJ battles on ESPN or any affiliate of that.
However, there is the evolution of where this platform or where being on these stages and winning can take you. And I actually wanted to ask a question of precision, but let's come to this one for you, Chris, real quick. You've been also, beyond doing showcases at DJ-focused events, you've been really taking full advantage of a lot of these sponsorship opportunities and like doing, let's say, like the DJ Expo in Atlantic City, and like doing these showcases at a booth or doing things that represent a brand. Throdown, I know you've done the same thing with like PV and Virtual DJ. I think that there's a weird balance where it doesn't necessarily come as a direct result of the win, but being on the stage where people can see you and then you've already shown the world repetitively time after time what you're capable of, then you can go to these other companies and brands and seize an opportunity that ends up being the way you can pay your bills off that. That's my perception from the outside. So I wanted to ask Chris, is that kind of how the evolution of putting the pin in battling and then getting into the traveling showcase and brand representative DJ world work for you? I know you did clubs as well and still do clubs in the middle, but how much of that came from like the brand deals?
I think like with that, it was just came from like just being in the battles and just meeting people, and just traveling and doing different battles in different places and getting to know the sponsors. And like really what started for me was like meeting Greg Needles and Bill Needles from Shore. And I got a sponsorship from them. Yeah,
shout out to Bill.
Yep, shout out to those guys. And I went to NAB and did some stuff with them, and I basically like introduced myself to like every DJ company at the time. But like in my mind, I wanted to work with Rain because I like their products the most. So that's who I ended up ultimately working with for a while. I had an opportunity to work with Native Instruments, and like it's interesting because they only had Craze and Clever at the time as like guys that they had worked with, and I was kind of concerned that I was going to get put on the back burner by those guys, but so I kind of turned it down. Plus I like just like the Rain gear in general. But I love Native too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I use tons of their plugins. I'm sitting right next to a Complete Control keyboard right now. As we be like, I love all their stuff. Still, but and it was just basically like just trying to. For me, it would always, the first thing about it was just like, if a company was doing something that I thought was, something that I really supported and wanted to get behind, then I would just approach them and talk to them about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to work with them, and just kind of went from there. But I mean, it's never been like the main source of income or anything like that. It's always just, a lot of it too is just, just to be able to just get the gear and just, keeping it on that level. But it's always a good look, I think, to align yourself with brands that you feel like have the same kind of vision that you do. Like, for me, I work most closely with Rain and Reloop nowadays, and I love their products, so it works out.
So,
and as far as you're part of Pretty Lights. Like how often are you touring with them?
Well, we hadn't done any shows in 2 years, as it is, but we had kind of discussed the idea of possibly doing this, but there was nothing even like definite that was going to happen. But yeah, I mean, that led to like being able to work with a lot of other artists and bands and whatnot. And I'm still just trying to continue to just like move forward and try and work with, great artists. And I was talking to John Oates of Hall & Oates the other day. It's like,
oh yeah,
like he reached out to me. He was like, I saw
that's amazing.
Check out your music you're making on Instagram, and I thought it would be really cool to do a collab. So
wow,
that's dope.
Dude. I was shocked. I was like, whoa. But
you got to work with the meters, right? I know you were super psyched about
For
that.
real?
That's crazy.
Speak about that.
That's wild.
with John Oates as well. So it was like a band, and
Wow.
and there was the craziest thing about that. I mean, because it was like Zig and George from the Meters, and Miguel and Win Butler of Arcade Fire, and John Oates, and Eric Krasno, and Tom Morello, and then like all these people were. Skrillex came out, Mac Miller came out. They almost didn't let Mac Miller on stage because he was so wasted, and the security guard was convinced that he wouldn't be able to perform, but he came out and smashed it and did an amazing job. Of course, nobody even knew about that on stage.
He don't know about that artist.
Anyways, but yeah, there was like there was some cool stuff that happened with that, and just being able to like to do that show, and then meeting the Mumford and Sons sat in, and that was the craziest thing to me, is like those guys must watch DJ videos or something, because like Marcus Mumford came up to me after this show was over, and he was like, Chris Karns, I can't believe you're fucking here, mate. I was just like, this guy seems like a really nice guy, like I didn't know that much about them, to be honest, but I was like, oh, this guy seems really cool. And he was like, you should stay tomorrow and come sit in with us on our show. And like all the guys in the band, when I showed up to rehearsal the next day, were like, you're a legend, mate. I can't believe you're here. And I just act like it was normal, but in my mind, I was like, how the hell do these guys even know who I am? This is so weird.
Yo, Art, mute it. We're gonna copyright infringement, man. We don't want to get blocked.
It's funny because a lot of the musicians that I'm around, they kind of will turn a nose up to just DJing, but what you guys do and really taking your turntables and making it an instrument, other musicians really respect that. And I think that's probably where it comes from, is when, especially someone like you, Chris, that anytime I see anything you do, it's like you're playing your turntables like a true instrument. It's not just going back and forth with some songs or even a juggle. You're really manipulating in a way I think kind of tends to, for musicians to translate into that side of it and say, you know what, I see that. And I think that's kind of back to what we were talking about earlier, what K-Swizz was saying. This pandemic has allowed for, I think, a lot of people to take inventory of what they want out of entertainment from a DJ. And we're truly seeing a lot of people, DJing in general is going to be one of those time capsule elements of what got people through the pandemic, even from the D-Nice streams or to more real, true, eccentric, turntablist type streams. People are really looking at this art form again in a new way, which is kind of a hopeful sense. Yeah, exactly. Cross the fingers that maybe we can get to that point of you guys that do this and put so much time and effort truly getting either the financial notoriety or just the platform to be on to then get the other artists like to get with and work with you. So let's hope that we can see more of that. I know Throdown, what you've been doing lately, when you had when we were on our first episode with just the Beat Refinery crew, and you were like excited to be locked into your house for a couple months.
I'm not gonna front. This is my birthday was in March on the 13th, and I spent weeks putting this whole Texas tour together with South by and Miami and all over Texas. And I was, this is kind of a birthday tradition, and I was so stoked about this trip, like, main stage with PV and all this other stuff. And a week before the festival was supposed to go down, they canceled the event. You could tell they were really holding out, but they just couldn't do it anymore. They were getting a lot of pressure from the city and just people petitioning, so they canned it. And I was like, well, fuck, like, I already spent all this money on hotels and flights and whatever. I'm going, like, this is a bunch of mass hysteria, whatever. went out there.
Oh
every
yeah, you guys
single
went.
gig- every single gig canceled one after another. Like I was so heartbroken, and we ended up coming home a week early because I was like, "What's the point of staying out here?" And I was like pretty butthurt about it for a couple days. I couldn't help but take it personal. But then when I was like, "Hold up, so you're telling me you want me to stay home and not go anywhere and just work on music
Locked in the
like
studio.
indefinitely?" So, dude, for real, like, I hope this lasts as long as possible. Like, I'm sorry if some people are struggling. We're all struggling, but for real, like, I haven't been this productive in ages.
You
I
hope
have
this.
no desire to let go of this. It's like the best birthday gift ever.
Just, you know,
So
just
does
get-
that mean you're going for a third U.S. title?
I don't think DMC Live is happening this year, so I don't think it's a relevant point. But, you know, we should talk about that real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
DMC Online has been going strong since, what, 2012?
Well, technically, wouldn't it be live? Wouldn't it be already going on right now?
Would be.
I mean, the regionals.
It would be. No, like the online, the online. I didn't even think about it. Wouldn't that be going on?
Yeah,
like, right
usually
around now?
right
Yeah,
around
you're right,
this
you're
point.
right.
But like, you know, like everything else, like in the pandemic, it's like, you know, they probably don't have the manpower, you know, to work on the site, and like, you know, everybody's at home. Who
So
knows?
could we imagine that they might just not? I mean, is there just going to be like a
Let's
line
not,
from 2012?
listen. Let's not put any. We don't know what the hell
Yeah.
is gonna happen.
Sure.
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
we don't know.
We don't know. You know, all you can do is think happy thoughts.
Maybe they're like thinking ahead, and the online might be like the final.
Well, I can say that we were told to stay tuned for a big announcement from DMC World and follow at DMC DJ Champs on Facebook and at DMC World on Instagram, as well as at DMC USA DJ Battles. And they're working on some things and are excited to share at some point.
This
So
just in from DMC, guys.
that's all we know now.
I want to ask you guys a question real quick. How come you guys didn't let me in on the little memo on the uniform here?
I mean, it's just general DJ.
All right, you know what? Hold on.
You gotta wear all black. Come on, Hank.
You gonna put it on?
Ready. Here we go.
There's no memo. I actually
there you
put mine
go.
on.
There you go.
And
Yo!
Okay. Thanks, guys.
So what shirt is that?
I don't think I have the right one.
Is that the all
In
the
the laundry.
DMC
Black
champs?
and white.
out of the laundry real quick? Probably I do that.
So
Wait, Chris, is that the different one? Is that the world's one?
That's the world champ shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
but on that note, it's the top of
Yeah,
top of the hour
Just
right
made
now,
that- I
folks.
barely just made that shirt.
I got that one.
That's a good looking shirt.
See
But
you,
yeah,
bro.
folks, top of the hour, 10 o'clock. We're going to take a little break. We do this segment every week called the Tech Tip of the Week by Sean J. So, Sean, if you can go ahead and,
All right, here we go.
do it. Real quick, big shout out to ID. He's on the stream. Big shout out to Ty Hanswell.
I
Who
said-
else did I see? It's a whole bunch of people. But yeah, ID,
got
man,
the
you
Battle
suck.
Fam coming serious right now in the chat. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, let me jump right into the tech situation. So I'm gonna pray that I don't misspeak on any of this, but we've been talking about the streaming world for a whole lot in the last 4 weeks. I'm gonna change directions just a little bit, and I'm gonna do a screen share real quick. So the technical tip is a little bit more aligned with anybody who uses turntables, but this can absolutely be a tool for anybody who's using a controller because we got to include everybody. So the rule of thumb, the magic number, the technical thing you need to know is it takes 1.8 seconds, as you can see right here on my Ableton screen, for a record to go from 1 point all the way around in a full circle because, of course, the record is a circle. I'm going to switch the screen share off one more second. So here we go. See if I can do this in less than 3 minutes. You've got these visual markers on records. This is, of course, all these battle champions are going to tell me why mine are in the wrong place or something like that, but here's how you can work it. For any of the new DJs, any of my DJ students, I always tell them when we're learning how to understand what cue points are for, use these visual markers, line them up with your choice on the turntable, either the 12 o'clock position or the needle, and that gives you a visual reference point of where a sound starts and then where the sound ends. So let's go back.
Oh,
Visual vinyl.
Visual vinyl.
Hey, plug. Shouts Chris Karns.
Visual vinyl got stuck in the screen. That was funny. You had new visual
nice.
vinyl.
All right, so here's the tip. For anybody who is trying to figure out a way to incorporate their own drops or samples, what have you, into a DJ routine, you can go into any sequencer. I'm using Ableton Live 10 right here, but you don't have to have Ableton. If you set your BPM to 133, this is the important part, 0.33, then one full bar becomes 1.8 seconds. So if you got to take a second, write that down. Now, if you take that full bar, you see the 1 start, ends at the 2, and you split that down the middle. I'm going to change my grid. Now, that is half a rotation of a record. But now if we put this on the triplet grid on Ableton, now you've got, oops. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of. Don't mess up in front of the champs. Yeah, now we've got the 3-point. Oh, hold up. My
Silently
quantize is
already.
Clickety click click.
It's Command 3 for the.
Yeah, Command 3. Zoom out. Out. There we go. All right, so when you split this into 3s from here, I don't know why this keeps jumping in the wrong position. You split it into triplets. There we go. You've got 1, 2, 3 divisions of that 1.8 seconds. That gives you what I've got here on my record. I'm taking the screen share off since that one failed miserably. That gives you the 3 points on the record. 12 o'clock position, then the 4 o'clock, and the 8 o'clock. That way, you can use the visual reference points on the record to say, hey, I'm going to start my sound right here on the record that I'm coming up with and make it skipless all the way around in a circle. Or you could have a scratch sample at the beginning, and the beginning of your first song right here, you can use that record reference point to say, I'm going to create a sentence with a drop or my name or any sample you want to cut with at the beginning, and have your first beat of the song that you're going to work with at the next visual cue point. That way, you can put your own flavor on a custom record without having to go and pay for pressing records like Chris Karns did with the vinyl.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, important number to know, 1.8 seconds, and don't mess up your Ableton grids while you're doing a live demo. That's the tech tip. Bam.
Dope. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
That was and for the jugglers out there, that's the Y theory, by the way.
Shit, yeah.
Why?
So that's the tech tip of the week. You know, once again, if you guys want to learn how to DJ, mix, scratch, and make music, we do virtual online lessons now. So some of the instructors here, you can actually hire them for a one-on-one lesson online through Zoom. Just make sure to visit us at beatrefinery.com. So let's go on and move on with the rest of the show.
Vekked, can you talk about your 3 colored stickers on all your records, you know, tying into what Sean was talking about?
Why do you do it?
Man,
Why 3?
yeah, I don't know. Okay, so here's my record, my label system, I guess. And I use like the same sort of idea that Sean was talking about, where I actually I don't know why, but just seeing someone else do it, I don't do triplets. I do 100 BPM but straight time instead of 33 in triplets, but it works out to the same thing. Yeah, so like it's the exact same idea with the 3 stickers, but the reason I went like a step further and I color code them like green, yellow, red, sort of in that order, like a sort of stoplight. And that's just so, like, I guess you can sort of look at a sticker and look at where it is on the record as a clock, like 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever. But I only I sort of like ignore 3/4 of the record, and I only look at the top like 1/4 of the record, and I switch colors, and that just like works for me. So I just, yeah, the reason I do that is just so that I don't have to chase my stickers around the record at all. I'm just looking in one place, and there's always going to be a sticker there. I just have to think about the color.
Are you a guy that always starts things on the needle, or like just
Needle,
like
yeah,
on the 12
needle.
o'clock? So needle position all the
That's
time.
probably part of it too. Is I never used 12 o'clock, and I never used the. I never used.
Chris Karns doing the Matumbo. No.
Well, I will tell you this though, like going into 2011 pre DMC World Finals, I realized that let's say you put your mark at pointed right at the needle, and the needle's on the very edge of the record, right? So it's like
We had this conversation back in the day.
Yeah, so like if it's on the edge, like you put it all the way on the edge, and then you put the mark there. When you move the needle and don't move the record, all of a sudden your mark is like an inch off by the time it gets to the inside. And 12 o'clock is always 12 o'clock. There's nothing that is relative to like a needle that's not always pointing in the same place. So I realized going into that, and I was like, all right, as soon as this battle is over, like literally the moment that battle ended, I went to a 12 o'clock system after that from then on out, because it doesn't matter where the needle is at on the record. It's always perfectly accurate. That's the reference point.
Remember you told me that, and I remember thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to try it. And then I guess you can't teach dog new tricks. 2 o'clock.
Stuck needle
Can't stay away from 2. I'm just stuck to that, man. I don't know. But, yeah, it makes sense because also moving forward for you guys that are starting to learn how to DJ on controllers, the controller technically starts at 12 o'clock.
And there's no way to change that.
No.
And there's no way to change it. And so I teach that as well. So I'm like, if you're going to learn, if I teach people beat juggling on vinyl and stuff, I will teach them at 12 o'clock now, even though me personally, I have not fully adapted to that.
So K-Swizz, where do you what position in the clock do you start your juggles with?
Wait, who is that for?
K-Swizz.
K-Swizz.
Caleb.
Oh, I start at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Oh, so
yeah.
Why do you do that?
You're also the needle.
Because a lot of the old school like videos, they all start at 2 o'clock. So when I was learning, it was always 2 o'clock.
Yeah, you just saw it that way, right? And I guess for people that are wondering why is it 2 o'clock, it's not necessarily just because the needle would end up there. It was literally when you had to forcibly use stickers to go to a cue point, that sticker would just inevitably be where the needle was. So
What do you mean use stickers to forcibly get to a cue point? Speak on that.
So before cue points, we used to put stickers on records. You could have a handful of stickers, and that's the stickers would push the needle into the groove of the specific sound that you wanted. Yeah, and I remember traveling. Back in the day, I would travel in my records in the backpack. You would have to avoid heat. Like, don't stick your backpack in, like, trunks of cars and stuff in a hot New York summer day. Like, don't do that stuff. But I remember, the glue would, like, be hot, and it would shift your stickers. So by the time you get to the battle, your sticker would have moved, like, a millimeter back or forward, and your whole routine was jacked up. That was my issue. And then I remember this one time I got ID to go to a battle in New York. I remember picking him up. To be honest with you, I knocked on the door and there was like all these people sleeping on the ground. Every room had someone in there. The dude was partying, and he's like, "Oh yeah, all right, I'll get ready for the battle." He took all his records, no sleeves, put them all together, and then threw them in a backpack. And I was like,
"Oh yeah, I've seen."
I remember looking at that, and I was like, "Nah, son, I can't do it that way." And then he went to the battle and he won. He smashed it, and I was like, "Yo, that carefree attitude, like, it's something."
He showed up to the school many times with a crate of records, no sleeves whatsoever, just everything sitting flat in the crate, and I'm just like, "Oh, yeah." I'm afraid of that, man.
Precision, do you have any like horror stories of like the good old days where you had to travel just like these guys are talking about with stacks of wax?
I think he
and
does.
stickers.
Yeah. I mean,
He dabbles in some DJ.
Yeah, I want to say the 2002 beatdown, man. I had to travel from New York to LA. And this is the era of those fucking shore bags, which I actually hate. I hate those bags.
I have like 7 of them. I won't lie.
Same here.
To carry on your back or on your shoulder. But I didn't think they were going to make me check that bag in. Like, I had it packed. I had my 2 carry-ons and I had my and for whatever reason, it was too. They said that bag was too big to go in the overhead, so they made me check in it. Bullshit.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
And then
I checked it, and I got to LA. I linked up with shout-outs to Deanie. Deanie let me crash at his place. They had a hotel and all that stuff and everything.
Ron
DJ Deanie, Ron Deanie.
Well, wicked.
If you want to come practice, it's that he opened up his crib for me and shit. And I get there and all of my fucking records are warped. Shout outs to Sprite, because he was another competitor in the battle.
Pirates.
He could have easily sabotaged me. He actually gave me copies of copies of the whole world. Yeah, Outcast.
Oh, okay.
He gave me copies.
Was this 04?
02.
02. Okay. Oh, in LA. Okay.
And
You would do that.
I was
There
able
we
to
go.
pull up some of our routines, but I think there was like that prelim, like towards the end, where there was like 3 of us left, and they had to eliminate one of us. And I went to do my juvenile routine, and those records were like,
Oh man.
they were like this. I'm trying to like work my way, and I'm like, at that point in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'll take third. I still get to go to the World Finals. I'm already like defeated in my head. And somehow I get to the finals, and I still had like my 2 best routines. So I don't know. I guess it was just like knowing that my records were warped. It was, I don't know. It's like a weird sense of it added more pressure, but in the end, it kind of worked out, and I won. I fucking got demolished in the World Finals. But as far as that, yeah, that was my only like real horror story.
You know, Christy Z was like, P will roll up in a battle, you know, with the frizzy hair, like you were saying, like all sticking to the side, like telling her, like, oh, I'm not ready for this battle, man. This battle. And that's always when you just wipe the floor with everybody.
Every battle I've
I
ever
always
seen.
feel like I don't practice enough. Seriously, like I always feel like I'm super motivated in the beginning. I start practicing, start working on shit, and then like in the months like leading up to it, it's just like I don't want to do this anymore.
That's a
I'm
humble
fucking tired
brag
of
right
hearing
there.
all this shit.
Didn't you win? Like you won
halfway through.
But
You
yo,
won
like
with, like,
your
a
stickers
4.5
didn't
minute
shift
routine.
during that year, like after that flight, your stickers didn't shift, like especially the key points.
Well, and at the beatdown,
Yeah.
the stickers were there. It was just the records were.
Oh,
warped.
wow.
That was about it. Some of I was able to work through some of them. I was able to kind of bend some of them back into place.
That's crazy.
Wait. So my dad, Chris, you know my dad.
I love how your horror story example, you won. Like it was terrible. I fucking won the battle.
Yeah.
Chris, my dad is a big baseball nut, as you know, and you know he back in the day he kind of pulled this media stunt, and he got all these pro baseball players to write to me and explain to me the best ways to break in a brand new glove, and everybody had a slightly different twist on it. You know,
Why aren't you a pro baseball player?
What?
Because baseball sucks.
Easy.
Hey.
It's like watching paint dry. But anyway, we're not talking about baseball. But anyway, so the fact that we've got a whole bunch of seasoned vets in here that, you know, came through on some vinyl stuff, you know, figuring out how to make it work. Precision, what any of you guys really like, you know, faced with what P was talking about, you know, in the heat of the battle, like moments before you go on, how do you make your records not look like this anymore? And you know,
Hey, for the record, Throwdown.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just remembered another horror story, and this one
Oh,
was very dark. Okay.
did you win that one too?
2002, the U.S. Finals. 2002, like it was like weird. Like after 9/11, like I just found myself I couldn't sleep. I wanted to battle the next year. I actually wanted to battle Clever that year. I mean, Clever was the bar for me at that time. And I remember just like locking in. Like I wasn't sleep. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna fucking do this shit. People don't. I mean, I kind of people know me, but people don't really know me. I want to just come in and just fucking wipe the floor with everybody. Anyway,
For those that don't know, this is the attitude you gotta have to be.
Yeah, I didn't do anything that like I kind of even like cut off my friends. I like broke up with my girl at the time.
Yep.
That's fucked up. But I was just in the crib practicing.
He was in his feelings, man.
I've ever practiced for a battle, and I remember
Killer Clay
at U.S. Finals again. It wasn't run by Christy. It was other management at the time, and they decided to do like every category in the same day, and just kind of piggyback. I think Throdown mentioned before. I think that might have been the longest battle. It might have been like fucking 15 hours. That whole ordeal. But by that time, I went on, I do my set, and it was like I was setting up, and they were like, "Are you ready?" Like I didn't even have my needles on, and they were like, "All right, you ready? You ready? You ready?" I was getting rushed. I went through my set, and my Outcast routine. I had a transition where I was trying, I was supposed to cue up the record and kind of tap it out while I queued up the next record. I had like reinforced the record so much that I couldn't take it off, and I had so much tape around the spindle.
Yeah.
When it came down to like pulling the record off, it was like stuck, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm trying to still like keep the routine going. And if anybody's seen that video, I literally had to stop and pick up the needle and restart. And from then on, it was like, fuck, I lost. And it was like all that work down the drain. Like I literally, like I was in the crib that whole year. People would come to me to like practice. I remember, Boogie, a bunch of cats. We
shout out to Blind.
Shout out to Boogie Blind. Man, it was just, I felt like it was just a waste of a fucking like a whole year of practice, man. A whole year of practice down the drain to come down to like that
hater breaks.
Thing, only because I didn't want my records to skip or them to be too loose around, the little things we have to worry about that people really don't know. But that sucked. That was like I say that was my worst horror story. And
I mean, honestly, has anyone in this chat ever made it through an entire live battle set and not thought, at least for a moment, like, oh crap, I just totally tanked,
bombed? Yeah.
Tell me that doesn't go through your mind. Like you are convinced that you failed at some point through your routine.
Oh wait. Speaking of the chat, I see our homie ASAP Hanswell, Ty Hanswell. What up, homie?
What up, Ty?
He says 9 o'clock, and I actually noticed that. I forgot about it. So Ty clocks his records at 9 o'clock. I don't know when he started doing that. I don't believe that's a thing he's been doing his whole life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I noticed he does that, and it's super weird. But at the end of the day,
I'm a 3 o'clock guy.
And if you've seen that dude, especially Beat Juggle, man, like you can't question it.
He marks his own thumb.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you got to say about that? Say it in the chat in the chat, Ty.
And Throwdown. You might not like baseball, but if your dad didn't hit a home run, you wouldn't be here.
He's been thinking about that for like 15 minutes.
I tried to say it before Precision, but he had a story. I let him have it.
Yo, Adrian the intern, put that on a clip.
No. I wanted to say that before Precision, but he had a better story at the time. But
I got a horror story I really want to share with you guys.
Go for it, man.
Possible.
Do it.
So 2003, Beatdown World Finals, Fabric, London. My first time ever leaving the States, and I didn't have a cell phone back then. I didn't really know much of anything. I just kind of had a flight. And I got on the flight. I landed at Heathrow, and there was nobody there to pick me up for 8 hours. And I'm sitting on the floor, like exhausted. I couldn't sleep on the flight or anything. I was just like exhausted, watching the time tick by. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I don't know how to call. I don't know who to call. I don't have a phone number. Like I have no internet. Like none of that stuff. And like they finally show up, and they're like, "There you are." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been here." So they get me back to the hotel.
Are you serious?
And they're like, all right, at this point it's noon London time, and they're like, you got to be ready for sound check by 2. And I was like, I don't need a sound check. Like, I'll just come later. I don't even care about sound check. I just need sleep. And like literally they're just like banging on my door at 2 o'clock. Like, come on, man, we gotta go. We get in the car and we go to the venue, and everybody's running through all their sets. Like Rafik was in this battle, I Emerged, Kiko, Tiger Style. There was like Jeff Rock from Japan. There was one other guy, I forget, and
that's Tiger Style. He's like,
so like everyone's like setting up and doing their whole sets, like running through all their sets. And so I get up, and like after waiting and being there for hours, already exhausted, and like I set up my stuff, and I start scratching for like less than 30 seconds, and +1 comes over, and he's like, "All right, mate, your time's up. Get the fuck off the decks." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like I just set up. I've only been on for like 30 seconds." And he's like, "I don't give a shit, mate. Get the fuck off the decks."
Oh.
And just cuts me off, and I was like, "Wow! Like I got up for this. Like this is my sound check." So this is at like 2. Like by this point, like it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30, and I'm like, "So can we go back to the hotel and sleep?" And they're like, "No, you have to stay here." Battle starts at 2 a.m. So I'm there in the back room all day. But here's the kicker, though, is that there's 2 setups at the battle. And iEmerge is set up on one, and this is everybody else is running through. And every time they're like, Merge, you got to let somebody else get on the decks and set up. He's like, there's something wrong with the turntables. There's something wrong with the turntables. But nobody ever comes over to check anything or fix anything. He never gets off those decks the entire night, right? So the battle starts. And first of all, this is like the start of the Iraq War. And they're like, first battle is me versus Jeff Rock, and from Japan. And this is what Billy Business host says on the mic right before the very first battle that I'm in. He's like, we can't let these Yanks come in here and win this shit, right? They get everything else in the world. They can't have this. And there's 2,000 people in the place. DJ Roger, Colorado, USA. Everybody's just going crazy. I'm like, they're like, fuck y'all. So I'm on the messed up side, right? Like nobody knows this yet because it's like, literally Merge wouldn't let anybody check. So I couldn't even like get anything to work at all. Like the turntables were completely fucked up. The tone arm was fucked up. Some totally could have been fixable, but no one was allowed to touch it.
They planned that.
So I lose, they stopped booing me at one point because it was so bad. They just felt bad for me and just stopped booing me. Literally every single battle that night, every person who was on that side lost, except Tiger Style against Rathic. And the reason why he won is because his shit started skipping too. And somehow he like made it into a routine on the fly.
That was the talk.
Some dope ass shit. And he ended up beating Merge in the finals because Merge stopped. Merge finally ended up being on the bad setup that he wouldn't let anybody else touch or check leading up to the battle.
Wait, was this Beatdown?
This is Beatdown World
Finals. Yeah, I remember about this.
He stops.
I've seen that footage.
This is skipping. He's like, no skipping, and everybody's like,
yes.
They were ready to just crown him the champ. I mean, he was gonna win. The crowd was behind him, everything, and then he just stopped. And like, I felt like that was kind of karma for not letting anybody even touch the turntables. But literally, I saved his life the next day because we were walking down the street and he was looking the wrong way and almost got hit by a double-decker bus. And I was like, Merge! Ask Kiko. Kiko was there. And he wouldn't even say one word to me about it. I was like, bro, I just saved your life. And he was like, yeah, let me look at these Nikes over here.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Bro, you just heard it at the 9 at 9, guys. Like, come on.
I do remember that story. Like that whole
Chris Karns
that side is was fucked up like that, the whole time.
Anyways,
He almost merged with the bus.
But yo, K-Swizz. K-Swizz, like, do you have any horror stories for us in your young career?
This was last year. After my elimination set at DMC Worlds, someone took my needles, my needle case, and my spare needles. So I was holding my needles the whole day and performing. They're like dirty. I needed to clean them. No one like let me clean. Yeah, that was my story. I had to perform with dirty needles the whole day. And then at the end of the day, someone came with my case. They're like, "Oh, I found your needles."
Sabotage.
Oh, they were sabotaging.
There they found
That's what it is. On the real.
Sabotage.
Name them. Was it Throdown?
Hold my needles without a case.
That sounds
like a
like
Ross
Throdown was in the building.
It wasn't me. Nah, I was having my own issues, man. I don't need to worry about stealing something.
Yeah. So, well, here's an interesting fact. Not a fact. Here's like a story. I remember last year. So, K-Swizz was the defending Supremacy Champion last year, and I was the US Champion. And long story short, after the battle, shouts to Matsunaga, who won from Japan. I remember me and Caleb, we were on stage, and we looked at each other. I don't know where it started, but then I think maybe you said, you were like, yeah, well, I'll see you here next year, huh? And then I remember I was like, yeah, same stage next year. And we shook on it. I remember that. Me and you, we dapped. We shook. We're like, yeah, I'll see you here next year. So unfortunately, like, I don't know if that's going to happen, right? So luckily for me, I haven't been holding up my bargain in terms of practicing. so I don't feel so terrible now. But let me ask you this. Have you been, like, what is your regimen like still to this day, especially with quarantine?
Well, he's a young dude, man. Like, with
your regimen already, like, you from what I gathered when I met you guys in when I met you guys in New Zealand, you got a nice family, you got a lovely family, big family. You seem to be like a great older brother, outside of a great son, a great older brother outside of this amazing turntablist. But like, what is like a day in the life of? How old are you now?
16.
16.
Are you
16-year-old world
practicing 5
champion.
hours a day?
K-Swizz, like what's a day in the life like for you, bro?
Kind of. I got to do like mix shows because I DJ on the radio here in New Zealand.
That's right.
Every night. Yeah. Like 7
Every
days
night.
a week.
So you do the
Like,
mix show thing. Like, do you do it live or do you send in the mixes and like?
I
do the work?
pre-record them.
You pre-record them. So, but again, just so you guys know, like a lot of the stuff you hear on the radio, it's either live or it's pre-recorded. But
Yeah. It's either live or pre-recorded.
there's a schedule. This kid is on a deadline to come up with that stuff. So, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, I do that. I've been producing some beats now.
Woo!
Lately. Yeah, and
Uh-oh.
I practice here and there, but like not like too much. Like when it comes closer to the battles, then that's when I'll start.
You're really on.
upping
But,
my
okay, so to make me
practice.
feel better, you haven't been like gunning. You haven't been like machine gun
No,
practicing.
I do like here and there, like every day. I do touch the turntables, but like I don't go like not right now. I'm not like going hard out.
Okay.
Are
Season
you
hub.
are
Well,
you
me neither.
are
Me
you
neither.
motivated
I'm just-
enough to win that
just trying to be
DMC
creative, man.
World
I'm
title,
enjoying-
like the main showcase?
Yeah.
So
Pardon?
Caleb,
Are you motivated enough this year to like actually go for the DMC World Showcase?
Yeah, I want to go for the 6 minute because last year I came second in Supremacy by 1 point, and then second in 6 minute, and like, yeah, I want to go for the 6 minute now. I think I'm very close.
Dude,
Yeah.
do it, man. Do it. For those like that know maybe my background, like or don't know, I've gone for the 6 minute for over 10 years. Again, I'm like the old dog you can't put down. Like I've
10
went for
years,
Showcase
man. It's
for
been
so
almost
long,
20 years now,
and
man.
I still never made it to the
11.
Worlds through Showcase. But I think along the way when I met I don't know who I met. I just yeah, probably Rada. Like I started doing the gong battles, and I really started focusing on the head-to-head format. I think that told me something that like I was built for the head-to-head format. I just never knew it, you know. So I put all my marbles in the basket. 2000 whatever year. What was it? 18, 19?
That's when you had the
19.
battle beard, right?
Yeah, the battle beard. Yeah, well, I knew. So again, like Precision was saying, Clever was the bar, you know. So for me, the defending champion in the U.S., the bar was Toltec, and so I basically was like, all right, I have to be able to beat Toltec. And
Shout out to Toltec.
what happened for me that year was, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm usually pretty open about what I'm doing in the studio. But I remember not posting any practice footage, and only thing you saw was my work footage, which was like me DJing at nightclubs, and I was kind of doing that whole thing, and people almost thought that I wasn't battling. They were like, "Oh, you're a nightclub DJ now." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, "Yo, I'm just hustling, bro." But like at the end of it, secretively, I was practicing. I put all my eggs in a basket, and I said, "I'm not doing Showcase this year." It was the first time I ever told myself, "Don't worry about Showcase. You don't got a 6 minute. Don't worry about it." I was so used to having a 6 minute every year at a certain time of the month, you know, at the beginning of the year, and it was weird to not do that and then to just focus on 90-second and minute-long routines. And I'm glad I did it because, again, I was talking to guys like Vekked, Embrace in New Zealand the year prior, and they were like, yeah, like, you got to practice. You got to go for it, and you got to put all your eggs in a basket. Like, you got to go for broke. Like, there's no bullshit when you're practicing for these things. And I knew that, but then, like, to hear it from these guys, it was like, all right, like, it's for sure. So I did that. Luckily, I was able to come out with that W. I don't even know if I, you know, could have done it that year without, like, you know, focusing that hard. But that's what told me, you know, I was like, you know, focus hard and you can pull out a W. So
You gotta break up with your girlfriend. And you gotta cut off
I didn't do all that. I had
tell me
support
that.
of a lovely girl. Shout out to Lee. Thank you.
Speak-
She got it. Like when she came into my life, like she saw kind of what I was doing and like, you know, I mean, it was at a time where things were already popping off for me. So
He's a rider, yeah.
yeah,
I think, but that's probably why you didn't win the worlds though. You got Dumper next time.
Yeah. Ba-da-boom, dude.
But yo, speaking of
Dr. Ruthless with his love advice over here.
speaking of Brace, man, like Vekked, is there gonna be like a freshman in the reunion anytime soon, or?
I mean, like, no, because he lives in the States and I'm in Canada and the borders are closed.
Wait. Here's a
There
quick
goes that
question.
one.
There goes that one for the year.
Quick question. Last time we were in Vekked, we were in Chicago. I don't even remember for. Remember last time we were in Chicago? We were in a hot dog line. Are you still with that girl you were with that night?
No.
That's all I got to know. Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was.
Level, son.
What was
Get him
it?
in trouble. Can't ask questions like that.
She was waiting in the hot dog line.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe entering DMC again, so I dumped her.
Ooh.
He's got a technique. He's got to stay to all. He has to check all the boxes before it's battle time.
Yeah, I just had to ask that because he was with a shorty, and I'm like, wait, okay.
Wow. Why do you gotta like? My old wounds are reopening.
Oh yeah. let's not rehash it. By the way, folks, 10:30 right now. So
All right, brother.
we do this weekly segment, another weekly segment that we do with As1. He's gonna do the DJ tip of the week. So, by the way, big shout out to Inferno. He's in the building. Kavork, what's up?
Hey, what up, Inferno?
Inferno.
But yeah, if you guys want to join the Zoom chat, we got about half an hour left. Just make sure to go to look at the screen, bit.ly/the9at9. Join us on chat for the last half hour. But let's go ahead, take it away as one.
Oh, right. Well, I'm not going to take up too much of your guys' time. I'm just going to give you two maybe old school tips for DJ battling. I'm sorry, 4 tips. 2 old school tips and 2 new school tips. So 2 old school tips first. Back in the day, especially the mixers back then, we used to have line switches, line and phono switches on the face of those mixers. If you've ever looked, some DJ battles, I think the one that comes to mind is Sprite, Allies All-Star Beatdown.
Shout out to Sprite.
He hit the line switch in that, and then it cut. He shook his head, and then he hit it, and then went back. So to be able to I guess what we used to do back in the day was any means necessary. So to not mess up, we used to use tape to tape the line switches, or if you ever been on a Technics, like especially a MK2, a 1200 MK2, the power and off and on knob or switch is not recessed, so you can easily hit that and turn it off in the middle of a routine. And what we used to do was literally take tape, electrical tape, gaff tape, scotch tape, whatever you had, and we would tape those things shut, essentially. So if you knew your right side of the turntable absolutely did not have any power off movements or anything, you would just tape that off. If you knew you didn't want to mess up through hitting the line switch by accident and going to dead sound, you would tape those down. Another tip, if you're like me, I'm going to go ahead and name a couple guys that I know. Myself, DJ Craze, let's say that. We are kind of on the shorter side. K-Swizz too, actually. We were in New Zealand, and there's a photo online of me and K-Swizz standing on tops of flight cases, so turntable flight cases, especially at a battle. If you're too short, if you're like me and you go to a setup and everybody's like, yeah, the setup's great, and you walk up to it and that thing is damn near your above your belly, like, don't accept that as okay. If you want to perform correctly, don't accept that as okay. A lot of times I would look in the ground and look for the tops or the bottoms. The bottoms are usually sturdier and thicker, and then the tops are a little shorter. So it depends what you're looking for. You would grab whatever you can, but if I could grab a bottom, I would grab the 2 bottoms of a flight case for turntables, flip them upside down so the flat part was up, and I would stand on those. If I could tape those together, I would as well. And that's what would help out. I guess in the new era here, especially with, say you're DJing on Serato, one thing that I like to do in Serato, if you guys are aware or not, there is a column, usually right next to the number tab, like the order of what songs you get to move around. There's a color. You can color code your tracks. So in a battle sense, I've done things like throw all my battle files into one folder, and then color code those tracks. So green is scratch, red is beat juggle, purple is hybrid. So you could have scratching, beat juggling, drumming all in one file, or techniques that go into that. And yellow would be for disses or intros and outros. So disses essentially. So basically, I could just align the blocks. Most of my routines would start yellow, because you want to intro diss, yellow, and then it would go, red, green, or yellow, purple, and then and usually end with the yellow. So at that point, usually when you're in the middle of a battle and you look at your opponent and you had one diss that you're gonna use normally for a battle, but then you look at him and go, wait, his hat looks funny, his shirt looks funny, I got a diss for that. It's easier to find. A lot of times you have those like brain fart moments where you're like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Just look for the yellow blocks and you go, oh, wait, yellows are all disses. Grab a new yellow one and just replace it with the other one. And boom, you got a new diss. And the other one, the last tip is, especially if you're battling digitally now, most of the times you will have not more than, 5 files or so in a folder. So if you're battling out of a folder that has 5 files, one thing that I recommend to do before you get on stage is hold control, and this is PC and Mac, control and the plus key, and that will zoom into your, or make your font bigger. So basically you just have more to look at, less chances to load the wrong file visually, if that makes sense. And that is my tip of the week. All right.
Adrian just said, in summary, color code your disses.
Color code your disses, son. Yeah. We're into that.
By the way, just looking at the Facebook chat, big shout out to Remedy. He's in the building.
Shouts to Rem,
Baltimore.
Maryland Defenders, Baltimore in the house. Yo, shouts to the whole crew out here in the DMV, man. Remedy.
Shouts to my man Waddy J in the
Yeah,
chat.
Waddy J. We got
Holding it
ASAP
down.
Hanswell. We got -9. I don't know if he's in here, but shouts to those dudes.
It's funny.
Those are the guys, and Throwdown. Those are the guys locally that keep me on my toes, by the way.
Ooh, we got Jay.
Yeah, that's been some of the funnest battles we've had, is watching Throdown and As One, who,
What up?
like, these two guys hang out all the time, teach together, and then just go for each other.
Art,
Me and
remember,
Throdown
like,
stories,
we went to London together, and
Yes, we
like
did.
that meant so much to me, because this dude, if you want to talk about like keeping
That meant a lot to me,
people
bro.
on your toes, like Art is like, he's like everything that I could aspire to if I ever get my shit together. Like the dude is like on top of all of it. Apparently he's not. Apparently he's a mess too, but he's a Virgo, so he's got that scientific, methodical mind, and somehow he makes it all work together at the last minute. And,
Somehow.
I don't understand why we haven't put some dope shit together. We're wearing the same fucking shirt, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, bro. I mean, we live close to each other too. Joe, I love what you're doing with your stuff with Toltec, brother. And yeah, so to go to London with you for my first time with you, that was dope, man. Someone who I know, someone who I work with. We're basically like, turntable.
Left nut and right
All right, guys, get a room, man. Get a room. Yo, we got about less than 20 minutes left, so I just want to go back and what do you guys think? Starting with you, K-Swizz, like you guys probably, like, with the pandemic, it's probably, you guys are probably reopened this time around. But like, when do you guys think you're gonna be back doing? When are we all gonna be back doing shows and and even battles, that sort of thing? So
I don't know. It could be a long time, because coronavirus, but I don't know when it could come back. Everything might be online, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Here's a follow-up question. How does everybody feel about the online battles being the replacement for the in-person
Make it live.
battles, potentially?
Make it live, and yeah.
Make it live.
make it live.
Pressure in it.
Yeah. Because if you don't make it live, everyone's just going to record their sets over and over. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like, some of the dopest turntablists are some of the least tech savvy people, and that has sort of become apparent as things have moved forward into the technological realm. And I don't know, it would just suck if they did the DMC battles like live, like, you get on, it's like a Zoom chat like this, and you got to just go for it. I mean, there's like an even bigger world of technical difficulties. It's no longer just like, oh, my needles are dirty, or like, oh, the head shell contacts are corroded, or my ground wire is loose. It's like, oh, my Zoom chat froze, or
yeah, right during the best part. Yeah, word.
Right during the dude. So
Yeah, sure.
I kind of want to, again, parents, right? Like, we don't want to speak on it because we don't know, but if I had to guess, online is probably going to be the move for this year. And
The move. So what's the guess? What do you think DMC's big announcement is going to be, guys?
Well, here's
Disclaimer.
Well, yeah, no, but just taking a page out of what's happening in the sports world, they're all trying to get their competitions going essentially, and the athletes will be taken care of, but there's not going to be fans. So there is a possibility that maybe for at least the world final, maybe there is a way that the competitors can be in a live setting, but without fans and everybody watching online. Could be
every country's border to be open though.
Scary.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the tough part.
But even though they say borders are closed, like I don't know about in Canada, but in the U.S. when they were like the borders are closed from China, and we found out that 40,000 people still flew into the country after the borders were closed.
Yeah.
So what does that all really mean? Like I think they say things, but then are there exceptions, or who knows? Like who knows where we'll be at the time of when we're getting to that point?
Does it all mean?
No more handshakes.
It would be dope to at least
fans.
If the battle can't happen with fans, at least if the competitors could be all in the same room somehow, so that everybody has to be on the same equipment and have the same technology as far as the streaming side of it. Maybe
everybody's gonna battle in Zoom.
Like that's what they were just saying. Like a battle in Zoom would be so weird. I think.
Battle Avenue just did IDA USA live on Zoom.
True. How'd that go?
I actually wasn't there for I got there right as they're announcing the results, so I don't know.
Oh damn.
I heard like on my stream later, there's some people who were on it and said there's like some technical issues, but I don't know like to what extent or anything. But oh yeah, actually no. Somebody said like that like the audio and video was out of sync for some of the competitors and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah. You can have that
makes
problem
sense
on
because
Zoom.
That's a hardcore scratch battle, man, and like dudes are doing crazy shit now. So
Yeah, I've been like
wondering.
I've been streaming for like 2 years almost weekly, and still there's some days when for some reason my laptop and OBS isn't working out, and like my audio is like 2 seconds ahead of my video and stuff. And
Are you using two computers or just one?
I just use one.
Oh.
Like two is the way to do it for
Yeah,
sure,
it
but
is.
it's like if you don't already have a second computer, like it depends like how diehard you are.
Phone and a computer.
Drop like a few G's on to
It's
just.
all on the
stream
it's
it.
all on the video graphics card too. So.
You
Yeah.
just need a phone and a computer.
Yeah.
You stream with your phone, DJ with the computer.
DJ with the computer. Done. Yeah.
So, Caleb, I remember last year in London, and we were talking, and you were like, "Yeah, I just want to win everything." Like straight up.
That's the attitude.
So
Yeah,
and obviously that's working out, but what I'm curious about is like, you're 16 and a half or whatever it is, and when you look at guys like Chris Karns and Vekked, and I know P's nice with the beats too, like I guess what I want to know is when you I guess achieve whatever it was that you set out to do, let's say you win everything, like what lies beyond, like what happens when you hit IE merge status and you just win back to back to back to back, and like what is on your agenda after racking up all these titles? Like where do you see like the next phase of your
Ooh,
DJ
are we about to set him up?
But in the universe.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll be bigger by then, and a lot of people will know who I am. Yeah.
You're gonna be bigger?
Hopefully, like
You're gonna gain some weight.
I mean, you already got 40,000 followers on Instagram, I believe, something like that.
60-some thousand on his Facebook page. Think you're doing all right.
Yeah, don't be greedy, bro. Get more followers for the rest of us.
Are you going to get as swole as your father?
Yeah.
Genetic, or is that like?
I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. So here's a story that I think I know. Maybe you can elaborate on this. I was told that you were on your way to becoming like a track star. Like I heard you.
Oh, when I was 9 years old, I came 5th in New Zealand, 100-meter sprinting.
100-meter sprint,
Yo.
5th in New Zealand, fastest
Fifth in
kid
New Zealand.
around. When I said Sonic the Hedgehog, I wasn't lying, guys. Like this kid is fast. Yeah, and I think you're reminiscent.
Yeah, when I was little, I used to play a lot of sport. Like I played rugby as well.
Rugby
League, yeah.
Doesn't your older
But-
brother play professionally somewhere?
My older brother, Leroy, he plays rugby.
Leroy
He
plays
plays in
rugby
Australia.
in
Yeah.
Australia. Yeah, so you guys are just the family is just like go hard beast dudes.
So I used to do sports, but I quit
Super
sports just to DJ because I like DJing more.
That's
And
literally
then-
what
yeah.
happened. You quit sports. Like, do you remember telling yourself that I'm
My dad
quitting
said
sports?
you either go you carry on with your sports or you go DJing, but I picked DJing and music.
God bless you, son.
That's true.
Yes.
I mean, either way, I feel like you would have been successful either way. But, I think because of maybe just simply, I'm just going to assume your love for, let's say, hip hop, because everything that we do, turntablist wise, like, let's not front. We got into this because we love hip hop culture, and this is a way to do hip hop. Outside of that, like, that's just crazy.
Hey,
bro.
we got about 10 minutes left. This is what I want to do for the last 10 minutes. Like, since we got, we got Precision, we got Vekked, we got Chris Karns,
Ooh, who do we got?
we got
Oh,
Throwdown. K-Swizz is probably going to benefit from this. So what do you guys, each of y'all, what kind of advice would you give K-Swizz for, for the next year, for the next whatever?
Can you give me
Starting
some
with you,
advice?
Chris.
That dude's got like
Starting with you,
all
Chris.
those records on the wall.
Let's get started.
He hasn't won the big prize yet, so what kind of wisdom would you guys like pass on to him?
What big prize? He got World Supremacy.
World Supremacy,
prizes.
IPA, technical. What are you? The most technicalist person. Yeah.
He's got some titles. He's got some titles.
Shit, son. Yeah. I love how you have the laminates too, bro. We should do an episode where we just go through our laminates, yo.
I got a crazy laminate collection.
I'm sure you do.
my God,
I'm sure
me
you
too.
do. And I'm sure you all do. And every laminate comes with a story. That's what I tell people. Like, that's why we save these things.
I throw them in.
All in New York. I'm in Virginia right now, but yeah, I
Hold
had
up. Shouts to P. He's now a part of the DMV.
Hey.
When was this?
a little away from you guys.
Exclusive.
Southern Virginia, not
Virginia
necessarily
Beach
like
or-
North.
I'm there in North Carolina.
Okay. But you still in there, bro. You still in there. Oh wow, he's got a
Weird
bag. He's
flex.
got to use two arms to pick it up with.
Dude, that's you can't even. No, hold up. Let me turn this background off. You got it.
Oh, what we got? What we got?
Laminates, bro.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Not laminate.
yeah.
Okay. Show off.
Yeah.
I think I did like 200 shows with Yellow Wolf in 2013, or between Yellow Wolf and solo shows, I did over 200 shows in 2013.
That's right. Let me ask you this: how did the Yellow Wolf thing come about? Was that through Clever, or was that through?
Craze.
That was through Craze.
Craze.
Okay,
Mhm.
got it. So,
How was your
and-
experience like
Yeah.
just doing concerts like that with Yellow Wolf?
I mean, the energy was crazy, man. Like that, I got kind of sucked in by, I think it was the first show didn't go so well. They gave me the wrong file, and we didn't get all the way to the point of the file where it became the wrong file when we were rehearsing and sound check. It was like we got like halfway through the last song, and he's like, "All right, let's go get some sushi." We like went to 8, and then we came back and did the show, and like it got to this point where the beat just ended. I didn't know if it was supposed to end or not. It was my first show, so like it was kind of crazy. He was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I was like, "I don't know." And his manager ran out and like started trying to take over on the turntables, and it was like this big ordeal. And I was just like, "Yeah, that wasn't my fault." And he was like, "Yo, I'm sorry, man." He's like yelling at his manager, "Don't ever come out on the stage, me and the DJ." And he asked me to do another show like a couple weeks later. He's like, "I got 2 shows." Or his management hit me up, and I was like, "Man, should I do this?" I went and did it, and the first show was at the Observatory, and a fan ran up on stage. His video, this of course, and like he was kind of like running by security, and he grabbed Yellow Wolf's overall suspender on his way by and pulled him down a little bit, and Yellow Wolf got up throwing punches at him, and like security ran out, and like everyone was like going crazy, and it was like being in a gladiator arena. Everybody's like, Yellow Wolf, Yellow Wolf. I was just up there standing up there like, man, this is insane. Like the energy was just so crazy that after that, like literally the very next night was like, I was like, okay, this is gonna be chill. It was in San Jose, like a little at a school or something, and at a college, and like I thought it was gonna be chill. But like the moment that he came out, people were just like wilding out. Like girls were like screaming, oh my God, like going crazy. People started fighting like instantly. And one of the guys that was like fighting in the front row got grabbed by, it was actually like everybody in the crew for Yellow Wolf could have doubled as security. So like the guy was like, who did his graphic design was like 6'7" and like 350 pounds. And so the graphic designer grabs this dude out of the crowd, and the guy's all like, get off me. And he realizes he's face to face with Yellow Wolf, and he's like, I fucking love you, man. He like runs over and like pats him on the shoulder as they like kick him out of the venue. It was just like that all the time. It was just insanity everywhere we went, all over the world. It was insane. We almost got kicked off the stage at Roskilde for the same thing. Like, and he was stage diving, and it was like about to turn into a riot, and like it was just craziness. It was crazy. I could go on and on and on about those stories. Like it was 2 years of doing that, so like it was crazy.
Vekked, Precision, actually, P. What's it like to tour with the Executioners? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got an executioner in the building, guys.
Yeah.
What the? That's crazy.
All right, so yeah, like literally, like my first time ever leaving the country was to go on tour, and it was weird. I'll say this. Back then, it was just beginning of 2002. I won a couple battles leading up to it. We had done a couple shows, and their manager at the time, like, it was like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go to Europe. We're gonna hit Chris with the fucking backgrounds. We're gonna hit here. We're gonna go here. And then,
Nice.
We did a show. We went to San Diego, like maybe like 2 weeks prior to the tour, and we're in sound check, and like Raider's like showing me. He was like, okay, so this is how I like my needle set up, and this and that, and I'm like, what? Like, why are you telling me this? So they didn't tell me this prior, but I was to go on the tour with them as a roadie.
Oh shit!
Like what? But I mean, I was still I was still opening the shows, but it was like, yeah, I had to set shit up, and I was doing like this, doing the sound check
As well.
Wow.
So me being me, like just like when we get to we get overseas, and I'm like kind of being like a dick about it. They had a team routine with Jay-Z's I Just Want to Love You. I had a routine with it, and I felt like I might have came up with my routine first. So my way, just being spiteful, like I would go, because I was like, wait, like I thought I was going on this tour as like not as like a member, but just like, all right, he's the new guy. He's been put.
You're the FNG, fucking new guy.
Say what?
The FNG.
Effing new guy.
Fucking new guy, yeah.
So,
That's you.
yeah, we go, and I'm like purposely doing my routine before they do theirs. I didn't sabotage them in any way. Like I was like, all right, fuck it. I set up the records. I set up the needles. I would even go as far as like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a dick. I'm gonna carry bags and everything. Like just like really embrace this role or whatever. But my main thing was I used to fucking do my routine before they did. And like Rob and E used to get so mad. Ray didn't really say much about it, which is surprising. But yeah, like Rob and E used to be like, yo, like what the fuck? I'm like what? What the fuck? But it was actually like, I look at it like now in hindsight, like it was actually kind of like a hazing moment.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yo, they like, and when it was Blind that really broke that down, and he's like, nah, man. He was like, yo, we get to fucking go on the road. It was like, yo, like the little petty shit of setting up. He's like, yeah, that's nothing, man.
That's
like,
nothing.
would you rather do this, or would you rather go work on 9 to 5?
That's dope, man. Apparently, ID got he got one of those into the Troopers, yeah? Or was it Inferno? Or one of you guys had a funny story about a induction into the Troopers.
No, we beat his ass.
You be yeah, ID had to like really work for that one. Apparently.
Shout out to ID and Inferno.
Shout out to those guys. But yo, so I guess just to wrap this up, man.
Yeah.
Go there.
All this stuff that you guys heard tonight, these are all typically stories that I can honestly maybe assume to say before the love of music. We all kind of ended up here right now because of DJ battles. Everything that these guys were able to do was because of we said yes to entering a DJ battle for the first time. And then we kind of got addicted. But then, that's one of those things. Like,
Yep.
Like Vekked, amazingly. What's the name of the cartoon that you scored, bro?
Three Amigo Knots.
Amigo Knots. It's a go ahead. That whole thing is amazing. You guys be sure to look up that project, the Amigo Knots. Right? It's a cartoon in Canada.
We
Spanish.
got a link to that one.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, someone we'll find the link right there. Boom.
We'll definitely
And,
post the link up.
And he did the audio. He basically did the theme music for this stuff and all the music using scratches.
I had to score the whole show with like scratching. Like it took a year for 52 episodes. It was super. It's a lot of work. It's a
Year for 52 episodes.
That's amazing.
Crazy. Just because he's a DJ battle champion. You know what I'm saying? And these guys, I remember just to tie it in, like Precision, his involvement with the Goldie Awards. I'm assuming he was part of the stage management. I saw you on stage setting up and working all that stuff, and that there's something to be said to having that knowledge, man. Like I got hit up by Red Bull and I managed the Red Bull battle the year Ease won his US finals. I ran the stage for that,
But hey, at the end of the day, I always say, we all always say, man, battle DJs make the best DJs. But it's 11 o'clock. 2 hours went by quickly. We can probably talk about this like for longer, but that's gonna be a wrap for the 9 at 9. 5 episodes in, boys, and we're still going strong. What do y'all think?
Yo, it's great.
Till the after party.
Till the after party.
It's good to
But
be here.
next week's
party start.
Next week's episode,
we're going into the after party now.
There you go. Next week's episode, we're gonna have some awesome DJs on the panel. Our guests for next week are Tina T, Conflict, DJ Zoe, DJ Koo, and back again on the panel is the homie, our good friend DJ Impulse. So tune in for that one.
Chester Copper Pie.
Make sure to come back and see us live every Thursday night starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch the replay of the show on our Facebook and YouTube pages at Beat Refinery. Also, new episodes are going to be uploaded every Mondays to all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts,
Get them
Google,
subscribes.
Spotify, Stitcher. Definitely hit that subscribe button. And wherever you consume and listen to all things podcasts. So, again, be sure to subscribe and rate us. We appreciate the support and love from y'all. Again, this is presented to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. If you want to learn how to make scratch, make music, visit beatrefinery.com. So we'll catch you all next week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Signing out. Everybody say peace.
Peace. Yeah.
Guys,
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
watch your
Sanitize, man.